Good evening, and welcome to the Town Board meeting for January 28th, that's today, which is Wednesday because of our near catastrophe snowstorm that wasn't to be, but we're very happy about that. 2015. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want you to notice that the two in the back stood and did it too.
Good. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Harder,
Present.
Councilmember Jeffrey,
Present?
Councilmember Blaha,
Present.
Supervisor Donnelly.
Present.
The first item is a public hearing in the matter of local law number 1, changes to town ethics code. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the board? Do I have a motion to adjourn this public hearing?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
We're going to be adjourning this public hearing since we are actually officially a day late from our public notice. We'll be republishing it in 2 weeks on February 10th. That day is now, I remember that date. On February 10th, we'll reopen this public hearing, and at that time, council will do a little bit more explaining, even if no one is here to talk about it. So, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The second public hearing is a matter of local law number 2, salary of elected highway superintendent. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the board? Do I have a motion to adjourn this public hearing?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Again, that is the second public hearing that will be reissued, and we will open it up again on February 10th.
We'll move into announcements.
Well, good evening, and we made it through the what was being referred to as the worst storm of the century, but I want you to know that a lot of people were affected by this storm quite severely, from Long Island up the coast, up the 95 coast through Connecticut, Rhode Island, and in particular Massachusetts got quite a bad beating from this storm. So we were very, very lucky. We really enjoy preparing. We don't enjoy it, but we really know that by preparing as well as we did for this storm, that we were ready for anything, and we were very happy when I know that when I looked out the door at 5 o'clock in the morning and said maybe it's still on its way, I was very thrilled that it still took us time. We still kept the offices closed. The non-essential workers were not in their offices, and part of the reason for that was everyone still had to dig out. We had to make sure that streets got cleared, and we're very happy and very, very proud of the Town Highway Department and the DPW crews from both the Village of Ossining and the Village of Briarcliff. They did an excellent job. And tomorrow is hug or elbow, elbow bump, because some people are sick, a highway or parks person, because to thank them for the job well done, because most of them in all the departments left their homes on Monday and didn't go home again till 4 o'clock Tuesday. So it's a long time to be out there, but we're glad it wasn't any longer than that. We hope most of you got the supervisor's update. We did do things like we sent the senior nutrition program. We sent all the people that have Meals on Wheels, that have meals that get sent to the home. We sent them 2 meals so that they would have it for both Monday and Tuesday. We have a whole Are You OK system, and that was, as usual, is always in effect, but it was really put into effect. A couple of dates I want to remind people of. The parking and small claims scheduled for Monday, this past Monday, January 26th, was adjourned until February 9th at 6:30 p.m. The criminal court in the building that was scheduled for yesterday was today. So if you have any issues with that you didn't make it back today, please call the courts. Our legislative meeting is tonight, and all of the rubbish and recycling for all the villages and the town were begun again today. I do want to remind everyone that tonight there is a planning board meeting at the community center. It is in the multipurpose room. It's a town unincorporated area planning board meeting. We have a town unincorporated zoning board meeting that was scheduled for Monday. I believe, I don't know if we have a date yet, but I believe it will probably be next week sometime, but we'll confirm the date and put it on the webpage. Solarize Ossining Briarcliff kickoff meeting will be tomorrow night, Thursday, January 29th at 7 p.m. in the library. We hope you can all join us for that. It's a very good informational meeting about solar. It's just informational, and then if you want to sign up, the people will be there to sign up, both residential and commercial property owners. And the Town of Ossining Comp Plan Review meeting will now be scheduled for February 4th at 7 p.m. at 16 Croton Avenue. So we try to get out as much information as we can. I want to thank everyone for working so hard, and lots of people for taking care of their neighbors and during this storm. We are looking at another storm on Friday. It's supposed to be 2 inches, and then we're looking for another storm on Sunday. So if everybody just keeps vigilant, I think we'll get through all of these storms, and let's move forward on that. Anything else?
Madam Supervisor, can you explain a little bit more about Solarize Ossining and how that came? I had some
Sure.
people asking, and I think it would be important to them to hear how the 3 municipalities came together
Sure.
and what that's for.
All right, thank you. Solarized Ossining Briarcliff is a coalition of the 2 villages in the town of Ossining, who came together as a program under Solarize Westchester, who has a program going on that if between now and June 1st you sign up for solar, because it's a group rate, you'll get it at a reduced rate. They'll come to your home. They'll check out that your home is in a good space. It will also, whether you'll have anything that will not help you pay back putting solar on your roof. So if you don't have good sunlight or what have you. What happened was the 3 communities got together along with Croton Cortland. There's another one, Mamaroneck Lodgemont, and the 4th one is Bedford Mount Kisco. So, I'm sorry. So what happens is these groups got together. They had put an RFP out for solarized companies. Some of them came back and they were vetted and they were gone through and they were looked at what would their policies be, what would their pricing would be. And what I found with them is, I've looked at solar in the past, was that they very clearly explained to you how this whole solar thing can work, because you can do multiple different ways of doing solar. So what I'd strongly suggest is you come tomorrow if you can. So right now we have these 3 communities working very closely together. The building department's working closely with us. And our 2 solar companies, one for our residentials is Ross Solar Group, and for our commercial properties is Best Energy Power. Some people have questioned why more local companies weren't chosen. Some were chosen, and they are in other municipalities, and they are very, very busy in those other municipalities. So this was a vetted NYSERDA and all different groups vetted these different solar companies. So I'm hoping that this will be a great, successful program. We have done a tremendous amount of work putting this together and making sure that this is a program that will benefit all the residents and commercial property owners. For the commercial property owners, we're going to be having another kickoff meeting besides tomorrow night. But tomorrow night, the Best Energy Power, which is the commercial group, will be there. And also will be from Sustainable Westchester, the PACE group, which is a funding mechanism for commercial properties, will also be there tomorrow night to show you how you can pay for this. There are different options. You can lease, you can buy out, and they'll do all your return on investments. And before you sign on any line, you'll know everything you could possibly know about what's going to happen with this solar that when it goes on your roof. One of the things that I liked about it is that the way they work it out, if you produce more energy, electricity in the month than you use. I happen to be empty nesting, so there's only 2 of us and a dog, so we don't have that many lights on all the time. If we produce more energy than we use, that will go into a bank and will become a credit for, say, the summertime when you use a lot more energy. So please come tomorrow night if you can, 7 p.m. There was a second one, but it was last Saturday and had to get canceled because of weather. So 7 p.m. to about 8:30 tomorrow night at the public library, the Ossining Public Library, in the theater, and learn all about this solar Ossining Briarcliff. We'll have many more meetings, though. If you can't make it tomorrow night, we'll have other times when you can come and get more information about it.
Will these hard copies be available to the public?
This actually is the agenda for tomorrow night, so it will be available, and there's also a web page, and it's the web page is Solarize Westchester. Do you remember if it's .org? We'll have it on our web page at Town of Ossining, and you can link out to it. So we'll have plenty of information about it, but this is the agenda for tomorrow night that we were just producing. So
Any other announcements?
I'm sorry. This Friday is the Ossining Matters fundraiser at the Mike Risco Music store and business right on Croton Avenue in Ossining. I think that's from 7 to 9 o'clock at night. So that, for, I think most people know, but it is for the foundation that supports the Ossining School District. Please come, show your support. It is always a good time, and it's for a great cause.
Ossining Matters, yep. It'll be a lot of fun. So there's something to do every night. Every night. We try to make everyone's lives very busy in the winter and the spring. And please be careful out there driving. Please be careful on the sides of the road. There's still a lot of ice out there. It's very, very cold. Please be careful on the sidewalks, too. Good. Madam Clerk.
We'll move into our board resolutions. Approval of minutes. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby approves the January 13, 2015 minutes of the reorganizational meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Were you Eric? Eric wasn't with us, so he's abstaining. So I stayed so.
Oh, so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter B, approval of voucher detail report. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated January 27, 2015, in the amount of $339,756.40 for 2014 and $430,249.37 for 2015, for a grand total of $770,005.77. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Oh, sorry.
Second.
Jump.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter C, tax certiorari, Verizon New York Incorporated versus Town of Ossining, whereas proceedings pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York were instituted by Verizon New York Incorporated against the Town of Ossining to review the tax assessment made on petitioner's property located at 160 Main Street, Town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the Town of Ossining as Section 89.19-4-4 and Section 89.19-4-42, all for tax assessment years 2009 through 2014, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Westchester, under index numbers 23429-09, 25030-10, 15045-11, 66846-12, 64634-13, and 67282-14. And whereas the above petitioner has agreed to compromise and settlement of such proceedings subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation in its real property and improvements as follows. Whereas all refunds necessitated by said settlement will be made without interest, and whereas the town board, upon the recommendation of the assessors concurred by the town attorney, finds the proposed settlement appropriate and in the best interest of the town of Ossining. Now therefore, it is resolved that the settlement of the proceedings on the terms set forth herein is hereby accepted and approved and subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, wherein such proceedings are pending, and it is further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to procure and execute any documents necessary to effectuate such settlement, and it is further resolved subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make the changes and corrections to the individual unit assessments on the tax assessment roll of the town of Ossining, which will be ordered pursuant to the consent judgment to be entered in accordance with the terms of the settlement, and the receiver of taxes is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of town of Ossining taxes estimated to be $3,624.79, which will be ordered pursuant to said consent judgment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter D, tax certiorari, 200 South Highland Avenue, LLC versus Town of Ossining. Whereas pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York, were instituted by 200 South Highland Avenue, LLC against the Town of Ossining to review the tax assessment made by petitioner's property located at 200 South Highland Avenue, Town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the Town of Ossining as Section 97.15-3-16, and for property assessment map of the Town of Ossining as Section, located in South, sorry, I misplaced myself, and for property located at South Highland Avenue, Town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the Town of Ossining as Section 97.15, Block 3, Lot 17, and for property located at 194 South Highland Avenue as designated on the tax assessment map of the Town of Ossining as Section 97.15, Block 3, Lot 81.1, and for property located at 190 South Highland Avenue and designated on the tax assessment map of the Town of Ossining as Section 97.15, Block 3, Lot 20, all for tax assessment years 2009 through 2014, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of Westchester, under index numbers 24451-09, 26011-10, 16040-11, 67411-12, 67044-13, and 67374-14, and whereas the above petitioner has agreed to a compromise and settlement of such proceedings subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation of its real property and improvements as follows. Whereas any and all refunds necessitated by said settlement will be made without interest, and whereas the town board, upon the recommendation of the assessor concurred by the town attorney, finds the proposed settlement appropriate and in the best interest of the town of Ossining. Now therefore be it resolved that, subject to the approval of Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make the changes and corrections to the individual unit assessment on the tax assessment roll of the town of Ossining, which will be ordered pursuant to the consent judgment and to be entered in accordance with the terms of this settlement, and the receiver of taxes is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of the town of Ossining taxes estimated to be $8,609.50, which will be ordered pursuant to said consent judgment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
These seem fairly steep reductions. I'm sure we talked about it, but I
We
don't
did.
really remember.
God bless you.
They just seem larger than normal reduction.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Letter E, tax certiorari, Scarborough Manor Owners Corporation versus Town of Ossining. Whereas proceedings pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York, where instituted by Scarborough Manor Owners Corporations against the town of Ossining to review the tax assessment made on petitioner's property located at 16 Rockledge Avenue, town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the town of Ossining as section 97.15-1-37 for tax years 2010, 11, 12, 13, and 14, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York under index numbers 24026-2010, 14820-2011, 65742-2012, 64243-2013, and 65347-2014. And whereas the above petitioner has agreed to compromise and settlement of such proceedings, subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation of its real property and improvements as follows. Whereas any and all refunds necessitated by said settlement will be made without interest, and whereas the town board, upon the recommendation of the assessor concurred by the town attorney, finds the proposed settlement appropriate and in the best interest of the town of Ossining, and now therefore it is resolved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make changes and corrections to the individual unit assessment on the tax assessment roll of the town of Ossining, which will be ordered pursuant to consent judgment to be entered in accordance with the terms of this settlement, and the receiver of taxes is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of town of Ossining taxes estimated to be $6,076.46, which will be ordered pursuant to said consent judgment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter F, tax certiorari Michael Kelly versus Town of Ossining. Whereas proceedings pursuant to Article 7 of the Real Property Tax Law of the State of New York were instituted by Michael Kelly against the Town of Ossining to review the tax assessment made on petitioner's property located at 45 South Highland Avenue, Town of Ossining, and designated on the tax assessment map of the Town of Ossining as Section 97.7-6-20 for the tax years 2012 and 2013, which proceedings are now pending in the Supreme Court of the State of New York under index numbers 65199-2012 and 64251-2013. And whereas the above petitioner has agreed to a compromise and settlement of such proceedings, subject to the approval of the town board, correcting and reducing the assessed valuation of its real property and improvements as follows. Whereas any and all refunds necessitated by such settlement will be made without interest. And resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized and directed to procure and execute any documents necessary to effectuate such settlement, and it is further resolved, subject to the approval of the Supreme Court, Westchester County, that the assessor is authorized and directed to make the changes and corrections to the individual unit assessment on the tax assessment roll of the town of Ossining, which will be ordered pursuant to consent judgment to be entered in accordance with the terms of the settlement, and the receiver of taxes is authorized and directed to process and pay the refund of the town of Ossining taxes estimated to be $475.74, which will be ordered pursuant to said judgment.
So moved?
Do I have a motion?
I second Jeff's motion.
Jump in there a little too quick?
We are eager to pass this resolution.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yet to be done
So moved.
Okay, foreclosure sale defaults. Whereas the town conducted a foreclosure auction on properties for unpaid taxes on August 13, 2014, and included in the auction was property referred to as Thornton Hill Vacant Lots 10 in an approved subdivision named Hawks Crossing, to be sold together subject to existing subdivision approvals, also referred to as parcel ID 89.008-0001-04.049.004 through 89.008-0001-049.013. And whereas the winning bidders for the Thornton Hill vacant lots was Saeed Abbas Hosseini on behalf of 110 Austin LLC, care of Mohammed Yagobi, with a winning bid price of $520,000. And whereas the terms of the sale provided that the closing would be required to take place within 45 days of the auction, and in the event of the winning bidder failed to close, that the town could reject the bid and retain the $2,500 fee collected from the bidder to be recognized as a qualified bidder. And whereas subsequent to the auction, the County of Westchester indicated an interest in exercising right of first refusal to develop the property for affordable housing, and as a result, the closing was delayed to afford the county an opportunity to determine whether the property was suitable for such development and whether it intended to proceed to exercise its right of first refusal. And whereas prior to making a final determination, the County of Westchester determined that it would defer to the winning bidder if the winning bidder wished to proceed with the purchase, and as a result, efforts have been made to contact the winning bidder, which efforts resulted in communications between the town attorney and the winning bidder, as well as the attorney for the winning bidder, and both the winning bidder and the attorney for the winning bidder were both advised that due to time that has elapsed since the date of the auction, the town has the option pursuant to the terms of sale to declare the winning bidder in default, to retain the initial $2,500 paid to qualify the bidder, and to proceed to sell the property to another purchaser. Both the winning bidder and the bidder's attorney were requested to confirm whether or not they proceed with the purchase, and neither the winning bidder nor its attorney has responded within the time requested. Therefore, be it resolved that the reason of the failure of the part of the winning bidder for the Thornton Hill vacant lots to close within a reasonable period of time from the date of auction, given all the circumstances, the town hereby exercises its right to declare the winning bidder in default, to retain the $2,500 bidder qualification fee, and to proceed to resell the property in an appropriate manner as the town sees fit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter H, rescinding zoning and planning board training waivers. Whereas on November 13, 2007, the town duly adopted a resolution waiving the requirement pursuant New York State law, which falls for 4 hours of annual training for the town's planning board and zoning board members, which waiver is permitted under state law. Therefore, be it resolved that the town hereby rescinds its previous adopted resolution waiving the mandatory training requirements for planning and zoning board members, therefore requiring those board members to henceforth meet all mandatory training requirements established by New York State law. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Correspondence to be received and filed. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby accepts the following: December 10th, 2014 Planning Board meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Monthly reports. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby accepts the following monthly reports for the month of December 2014 from the Town Tax Receiver's Office. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No visitor recognition. And is there anyone here who wishes to address the
Guys,
board?
got anything to say down there?
I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have a
Well-
second on that?
Kim and Jeff?
I
Oh,
think
Kim and
we-
Jeff, I'm sorry, I
Yes.
apologize.
We kind of,
I think we need
Yeah.
one more, though, don't we?
No, aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye, aye.
Well, I want to thank you all for spending some time with us, not in the audience, obviously, but at your home. A couple of things I want to do is I want to put out an enormous thank you to all our first responders. It is a pleasure to watch how the police, fire, OVAC, being our ambulance squad in the Ossining and the town of Ossining, and work together. And what a great job they do coordinating and making sure that they are there for each other through any emergency, but particularly when they're planning for an emergency. We should be very proud of ourselves. Everyone did exactly what was asked of them. They stayed off the roads. We had 0 car accidents during the storm, which we're very pleased with. We had the ability, by calling the snow emergency, the village calling the snow emergency in the village of Ossining, to clear off these streets that are quite narrow. So it worked out very, very well. We could push the snow much further back than we normally can. So I want to again put out a big thank you to, and especially to, our highway department, town highway and parks department, and the DPW crews that were out. But many, many volunteers and many, many paid personnel spent a great deal of time hunkered down in office buildings and in this building for the police, and the fire department had their firehouses all manned. So it was a pleasure to be a small part of that whole OEM group as they put that together. I also want to express a happy birthday to 2 of our board members. During that storm period, it was Jeff Harder and Kim Jeffrey's birthday, so I hope it's not an omen of future years, but we want to say happy birthday to you, and we hope to see you next Tuesday. I do want to tell you that right now what is happening over at the library is the Village of Ossining has taken their work session and made it into a discussion on building green in this community. So if you're interested in going out and participating in that, but it's also being filmed, so it will be on TV. So it's a very interesting topic to have. So I want to thank you. Next Tuesday we will be at 16 Croton Avenue for a work session. We look forward to it, and as we move forward. So thank you very much. And again, remember that our public hearings will continue on February 10th for both the ethics code changes, which you can find on the webpage or hard copies in the clerk's office, and the change from the preliminary budget to the final budget of the highway superintendent's salary. So thank you very much. Have a great week.